Look, what's your view on this? Do you think patients are getting shortchanged with a lack of face-to-face appointments?
I mean, I think, look, I'm firmly of the view that we should be offering patients face-to-face, telephone and online access to their own GP. So I think it's a bit of a polarised debate to say we should be going back to offering more face-to-face. I think we should be learning from the good stuff that's come out of the pandemic. And actually, now patients have access to their GP through a variety of means. They can do an e-consult, they can have a telephone call, or they can have a face-to-face appointment. And this isn't about limiting face-to-face. It's about saving face-to-face appointments for those patients that really need them or really want them.
Is it a little bit of a postcode lottery? My inbox here tends to be a bit split sometimes. Quite a few people are saying, I've not had many issues with my GP throughout the pandemic. I've got to be honest with you, I do get quite a lot of people saying that their GP surgery almost seems bolted shut. So does it depend a little bit on where you live?
I think there is obviously variation, but I think every practice now has an online means to access your doctor. And actually, we should think back, the old system was a bit broken anyway, if you think about it. The access to your GP previously was used to get on the phone at 8 o'clock in the morning. You'd often have to wait 40 minutes on hold, and then you'd be offered a face-to-face appointment in a building maybe 10 days later.
Yeah.
And actually, we've now given patients the opportunity to have stuff dealt with remotely if they need to or want to. And actually, general practice is offering more appointments today than it did before the pandemic. That's the really important thing.
I think a lot of people worry about misdiagnoses if it's done virtually, and regular viewers will know there's an example I keep harking on about. There's someone quite close to me who was told they had eczema, it turned out to be skin cancer, and that's not an uncommon story, to be honest with you. There is an issue there, isn't there?
Well, there can be, and those cases are obviously really sad, and actually we should be diagnosing earlier. And actually, remote access actually shortens the pathway to being seen. And if you think about it, waiting 2 weeks to see a GP previously to get something picked up, isn't that great when actually today you could send in a photo of something to your doctor. The doctor can look at it and actually pick stuff up earlier. We've got lots of examples, just many examples of cancers that are actually picked up earlier because we've improved access to the patient's own GP, and that's what's important. Some
people, just your average man or woman on the street, might say, well, hang on a minute, we've got a health secretary here who's saying, come on, people need to get face-to-face appointments. And actually, the idea that maybe some elements of the medical community are dragging their feet could be seen as laziness.
Well, it could be seen as that, but it's absolutely not. I think, as I've just said, patients are actually offering more appointments. General practice, I'm a GP, I care about patients, as do all GPs. And the important thing is here that we are offering, through systems like e-consult or telephone appointments, the ability for patients to actually be seen sooner and actually not necessarily be brought into a building if they don't need to be. So there's just as many patients who welcome the idea that actually they can get their contraception or their mental health condition can be dealt with without coming into the building to be seen. So there's a lot of positives that come out of this as well as the negatives.
I wonder if we're almost missing a slightly bigger issue here, which is there does seem to be a lot of these tales of bad administration, so administration errors, whether it's your notes not necessarily catching up with you or just various things like that. Now, that can lead to all sorts of issues that maybe ends up in a situation with someone needing more care down the line than they might have done. That will cost the taxpayer more money in the round. It no doubt will take up more of people's like your time and things like that. Is that an issue behind the scenes? It's all very well and good people like me banging on about face-to-face GP appointments and this kind of stuff. Is there an administration issue in the NHS?
Look, I think we're facing actually a much wider system problem, and the focus on general practice is not helpful because actually there's huge issues in accessing care in hospitals and with the massive waiting list we've got to deal with, huge queues now in A&E. And if anything, we should be using technology more to help deal with the queues and pick up stuff earlier. If we really want to build a sustainable NHS, we aren't going to magic 6,000 GPs out of nowhere. No. So actually, we need to be using technology more in order to drive that.
Just quickly, sorry, because yet again, we're pressed for time, unfortunately. But just very quickly, some people would say if we're going to spend about 40% of our annual spending budget on health and social care, that's about the limit. That's about the limit for a nation. Right? A lot of people would say that. I certainly would say that. Does that money not need to be better spent? Is it now not on the NHS to distribute that money better? They've been given the cash, there isn't that magic money tree, we've hit our limit, spend that better.
I think there is an argument to make really efficient use of the money. And actually, if we invest in anything, we should be investing more in technology, because technology does offer a real way out. We've seen it in other industries, banking, travel, they've all embraced technology, and in healthcare we need to do the same. So actually, I'm optimistic about the future rather than being very negative.
Good stuff. Really appreciate you coming in. Thank you very much. Great to have you on the show.